Hello everyone, it's Jez here from nigezza.co.uk and I'm here today with a one sheet wonder but using 6x6 and I'm going to use the springtime foils. Not long left of celebration now for getting your hands on this absolutely stunning beautiful paper, and the reason why I made a 6x6 was because I was doing things with 6x6 because of the paper share. So I'll show you what I did. I did a one sheet wonder in 6x6 using our note cards. These are our note cards. They measure 3.5 by 5 when they're done, so smaller than a normal size car, and you get 20, and they're nice thick. We get them in very vanilla and whisper white, and then they come with matching envelopes which are the same colour, and you know, good quality envelopes as you would expect from Stampin' Up. And doing a 6x6 one sheet wonder is a good size for these cards. Are a good size for doing that. So I made 8. I'm only going to show you 7 here because my other half needed a thank you card whilst I was away, and so I said, oh, just pointed him in the right direction of where my cards were, and he picked the 8th one of this, so I haven't got it to show, but there you go. So I made 4 thank yous and 4 happy birthdays out of it. You can change sentiment as much as you want, but I think you agree, nice cards. I used Floral Garden, I think this is, and yeah, so I'm going to show you how I did the cutting to make this. I will have everything on my blog, nigezza.co.uk, for you to follow. So I made a template. I put it there so you could screenshot it if you wanted to. It's probably a little bit difficult there to see it on the white background. I'm going to put it on there, some dapper denim. Okay, so this is the cutting for 6x6, and they're the bits, and I've labelled the bits so you can see the size. These are in inches of each of the segments, and I've gone A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H, so you know which bits make a card. And these 2 bits have got a dotted line because I cut them in half diagonally, and it's this one that I haven't got the this sample to show you. And then I worked out, just for ease of cutting, the way I did the other ones is I kind of just cut the mats as I went along, but I actually worked it out. So if you take a piece that's 7 1/8 by 7 1/4, follow this, and then you just get that little sliver left over, and that to me seemed like the easiest way of cutting the mats to go with it. And we're going to use the copper foiling. It is, I think it is rose gold, but copper works really well with it. So these are going to look sort of quite luxurious when they're done, and quite stunning. Okay, so screenshot it. It will be on my blog, and you will end up, that's kind of how I sort of worked it all out. Okay, I won't be sticking them down and cutting them out. We'll be cutting it out sort of separately. So I'm going to show you now how I did the cutting. Okay, so get my trimmer. So you can of course colour these in a bit to make it look. I'm gonna put my template there to help me. So the first thing I did was I cut it in half at 3, and then I dealt with them separately because this one had a bit of a funny cut. Okay, so, and then we're just going to work on this side, which is quite simple. I just cut then at 2 inches, 3 strips then at 2 inches. Cut this one again at 2 inches. So that gives me my 2 inch by 2 inch square and my 2 by 1. We'll do the same thing. I was kind of doing it so that they were, I've rotated it now so I can't work it out. There, like that. So I'm going to cut that as my 2 inch so it sort of matches. And then these two are 2 1 inch squares. There we go. And then this one I cut diagonally from corner to corner, lining that up. Not going to start on the corner, like so. Okay, so that's that half done. And then this one, I'm going to cut 1.5 down. I might do it that way. 1.5 down from the top. And then cut these at 1.5, and that gives us our 2 1.5 by 1.5 squares. And then this one we'll cut at 1 inch. That's our sliver that's going to get cut in half, and then these are, I'm going to do 1 at 1.5 inches, and then the rest are just going to be at 1 inch intervals. So put that on the 2 and then put it on the 1. And then all that remains is to stick this one in there, and then this one's going to get cut on the diagonal like so. Oh, didn't cut there. Okay, so that is those base, and you might find it helpful to lay it out. I'm going to find it helpful for the purposes of this tutorial to lay those on there so that I know which ones make which cards. Oh, I just cut this different diagonal. It doesn't actually matter. Okay, so that's those bits. And now for the foil. For the foil, if I'm following, I'm going to do straight down there at 3.5. So that goes to, oh, we've got to make sure we've got the right piece at the top. Yeah, see, that would have been a disaster because that would have been the wrong way round. There we go. So make sure that you've got the 4 1/8, 7 1/8 along the top and cut down at 3.5. Okay, and then we're going to cut at, turn it round, cut at 2.5. And that's that piece there. Right. This is where it gets ever so slightly complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. So that's 2 3/4. So we'll do a 2 3/4 strip. Oh, I've done that wrong. I knew I had. Never mind. We'll just put that one to one side and we'll carry on with this side. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 1 3/8. We'll cut down this way first. Okay, so this is 1 3/4. So we're going to go down 1 3/4 from the top first. And then that's that bit. Then we're going to go 1 3/8. And that's that bit. And then here we're going to go 1 3/4. And then each of these are 1 1/8. So these are okay. I will use these for matting the sentiments. So I'll just get another piece of foil to cut the other bits. So this bit needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/4. By 3.5. Right. What did I say? 3.5. There we go. So we're back now with that bit, except it's too long. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 3/4 actually. Trying desperately not to waste too much. So yeah, we're back to that. So we'll take a strip off down there that is 1 1/4. We're going to go 2 1/4. That's that bit. And then 1 1/4. And that should be those two in half because they're squares. And then these should be 2 1/4 square. So that is 2 1/4. So we'll go 2 1/4. See, easy. Actually, I just made it really difficult for myself. And then that's the little bit that you don't need. There we go. So that's all that's left over. Okay, so that's all those foil bits. So that is all of the cutting, and then it's just a matter of sticking these to those. Oh, I haven't cut those in half. Okay, I'll do that in a sec. We'll do all of these first. I'll just glue them together like so, and then I'll just do a couple to show. I'm going to use Tombow to give me the wigglage. So I would just do all the sticking first. And you could, because that was quite a large piece, you could cut your mat out for a sentiment if you wanted to. So some of these would be too big to cut out, but some of them you could do that square cut out to save your cardstock. Okay, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to glue all those together and then I'll show you how to put them together. Okay, so I've done them all apart from this, and I'm doing this slightly differently to how I did it originally. Not that you can see how I did it originally because I don't have the card, but I've subsequently done something similar this way. So instead of cutting the card, the rectangle, take that out of the glare a bit, I am just sticking that down with the right border that I want. Up to the top. I've been sticking a block on, and then I shall glue this one, and then I'll just trim off the bit at the top that we don't want. So I'm going to glue this onto that, so there's a slight gap. I'll move that over too much. Making a pickle of myself here. That one's now stuck fast. I will trim this once it's stuck. I will just clean off the oozing because I put too much down there. And I will show you some trimming that I'm going to do on this one because it's quite difficult when you're doing a diagonal. So I'm going to have to trim a bit off these. You might find the odd one of these might require a bit of trimming, depends how you like it. There is just a slight there was just a little slight too much there, but basically they're fine. I'm quite happy with all that. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back. Oh, what I was going to show you, that's what I did on the back here. I cut out a little scalloped circle that I'll use later, just a way of saving cardstock, just to show that you can do that. Okay, so bringing back my Stampin' trimmer, putting away my glue. So I want to trim this slightly. Quite like it at the top, but not at the bottom. So I'm kind of using the guide here to help me keep it straight, because I don't want it to go squiff. Easier said than done. There. Perfect. Okay. So it's a matter of, once that's closed, making sure that it's lined up on the track. It's really difficult to see on camera, and you've got some ridges on here. I was kind of lining them up with those ridges so that there was the same that one's not so good, but be good enough. Good enough for a handmade card. Okay, and then this bit. So we want to trim. It did go over a little bit too much there, but I'm not bothered. So I'm going to trim border off, a little bit more of a border off the top there, and then trim a bit down the side. I wonder where it went then, it's kind of stuck. I was thinking I'll definitely cut something down there. Need a bit more off the bottom. There we go. Right, trim a bit off that now. Just a tad. There we go. And that's it. So that's all the bits trimmed, ready to make a card. So we need to stamp our sentiments. So I've got some scraps to stamp my sentiments, and I used whichever sentiments you want, but I used the stamp set that comes from the kit. I can't remember what it's called now. Happy is something, I think. Happy whatever. In the new, I'll put it in my blog, which will be linked down below. So I used the thank yous and the happy birthdays from this, but you know, you can use whichever sentiments you want. I also used the thank you from Eastern Beauty because that's beautiful font and quite little, and I thought I might use some of these, sort of a just because, just for you, thank you so much. I think I might use those, and I think I might use the just a note from here, because I think that'll be quite cool. So we've got 8 to make, and I got to do them in different sizes, so I'm going to stamp me 8 sentiments. I'm gonna do look at my, see how many big ones I want. One for the one you can't see, 2, yeah, so 4 big ones and 4 little ones basically. So I'll do, don't know why I turned that upside down because I don't need to. So we'll put that over there, and that one there, and then I'll do 2 of these thank yous. And then we'll, before that dries, we'll do the embossing powder on this. I'm going to use copper embossing powder. I didn't use my embossing buddy because I'm about to forget something. So there we have it. So they are now all heat embossed with the copper, which is just stunning, just lovely, love it. Okay, so now we need to cut them out, and I used this size circle for one of those. I used so that is the second smallest circle, and then for this one is the second smallest square. I'll do it on that one, and then I had the oval, which mats into the everyday label punch, and that's the second smallest oval. Oh, that's quite cool. So they're going to go out like that, and then the thank you, we've got the little square to do the tiny weeny thank you as well, and that's going to have to go a bit dodgy like that. Well, it's not dodgy, but you know, on the side. These ones cut out with, I'm going to have to cut that one out with the oval as well when I've gone through that one. I'm going to do the oval with that one as well. And then these ones are going to be cut out with a circle punch to mat onto a scalloped one. I've already cut one, so I'll cut another. So I'll cut those and come back to you. So there we are. So I've cut them all out using the various dies and punches, and I've matted them. You've seen my trick where I use a square and turn it into a rectangle, and I just wanted to show you. I had not a full 12 by 12 of the foil, and these are the bits I've got left. So you don't use masses of your foil, and I'll keep these little bits because I can cut little things out of that. Oh, and there's another little bit there. Okay, and so then I'm taking my 8 notelets, and I've used some embossing folders. I only used one on the original one, but this one, so this is the petal pair, so you get 2. You get these 2 there that give you these 2 designs there. So I've done one with this cascading floral and one with this sort of, I don't know, striped leaf thing, and I've also used the simple stripes, this one. These are all in the new spring summer catalogue, and I'll leave the rest blank, but I just thought I'd do some different ones with a bit of interest. So here are the finished cards. I did this one as a full-size card because I felt that it was big enough to be able to take it, and I fluffed it up actually when I was sticking it down, and I didn't have another note card. So there, so you could do these on full-size cards if you wanted to. I ran this through an embossing folder as well for that one, and that's how I stuck that one down. So all of these will be on my blog, nigezza.co.uk, with all the measurements and the template for cutting out the 6x6 and then the matting as well. So pop over there, link down there, and if you want to purchase £45 worth of Stampin' Up products, you can get this gorgeous paper for free. Okay, not long left, just to the end of March. Okay, bye for now.